Let's be real for a second. If a woman feels nothing when you talk, you're already forgotten. And if the only thing she feels around you is comfort, then you're invisible in her eyes. Comfort is what women seek from boys. Disruption, the kind that shakes her routine, makes her feel something unexpected, that's what she craves from men. And if you never learn how to walk into a room and instantly shift the energy, making her wonder who really holds the power, then you'll spend your whole life orbiting women you secretly fear. Here's what Machiavelli understood, something weak men still don't. Power isn't just about strength, it's about perception. And the man who learns to control how he's perceived controls everything. Not through beauty, not through charm, but through certainty, danger, and distance. It's much safer to be feared than loved, Machiavelli wrote, when one of the two must be lacking. Why? Because love is fragile. Fear is stable. Love is given easily. Fear is earned. And once earned, it isn't easily forgotten. Now, confidence isn't about plastering a smile on your face. It's about creating doubt, not in yourself, but in her, making her second-guess her assumptions. It's about holding eye contact 1 second too long, not blinking, not shifting in your chair like some boy begging mommy for approval. It's about letting your silence speak louder than your words, about letting your stillness dominate the moment, about making your presence feel like an interrogation without asking a single question. See, a dangerously confident man doesn't show up hoping to get the girl. He shows up to see if she's qualified to stand next to him. He doesn't chase, he assesses. He doesn't charm, he unsettles. Because women don't obsess over what they understand. They obsess over what they can't predict.
That's why Machiavelli drilled this into the minds of rulers. The vulgar crowd is always taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. Translation? Your internal worth doesn't matter if your external aura doesn't project power. You can have good intentions, you can be loyal, but if you look like you need her approval, you're beneath her. That's the law, and laws don't care about feelings. Confidence isn't a mood, it's a design. You engineer it like a weapon. You train your voice to land like a decree. You hold your posture like a predator at rest. You speak like a man who is used to being listened to because he never begs twice. Dangerous confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about being unshakable in front of the one thing most men worship: female validation. You have to walk into a room with the quiet defiance of a ruler returning from exile. No need to prove, no need to flaunt, just presence so calibrated it forces others to adjust themselves unconsciously. You don't impress her with smiles. You impress her with pressure. Your silence becomes tension. Your indifference becomes dominance. Your aura becomes judgment. And she wants to be found worthy. And this isn't arrogance, it's calculation. Machiavelli once said, "He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who allows himself to be deceived." The man who performs for women becomes her fool, but the man who commands himself makes her question her own power. This is where everything begins. You stop living like a man waiting to be chosen, and you start moving like a man who has already chosen himself.
The truth is, you were not born weak. You were trained to be agreeable, trained to smile too much, to accommodate, to ask permission with your eyes. And Machiavelli would laugh at you, because centuries ago he already knew obedience without power is suicide. He wrote, "A prince who is not himself wise cannot be well advised, because he cannot judge the advice given to him." If you're taking cues from women, if you're waiting for approval before you act, you are already beneath her. Understand this, a woman cannot be led by a man she can destabilize emotionally. If her silence, her sarcasm, or her attention can rattle you, then you are not a man to her. You're a servant wearing cologne. Dangerously confident men are not emotionless. They feel everything, but they build fortresses around their minds. Every reaction is filtered. Every word is deliberate. They don't chase emotional validation because they understand this. The man who remains emotionally neutral controls the dynamic. So when she flirts, he doesn't melt. When she tests him, he doesn't flinch. When she pulls back, he pulls further. Not to punish her, but to remind her that her presence is never required. Machiavelli warned against dependency. The wise man does at once what the fool does eventually. Meaning, cut your weakness now, not after heartbreak, not after disrespect, not after she leaves. Cut it now. How? By building a life where women are a choice, not a necessity. Your mission becomes so sharp that it cuts through distractions. Your time becomes so sacred that no one, no matter how beautiful, feels entitled to it. You rise early, you move with precision, you speak with intent. And when you walk into a room, your energy does the talking before your mouth even opens.
Here's the brutal truth. You can be tall, rich, and handsome, but if your energy screams insecurity, she will walk over you like a puddle in the street. Dangerous confidence isn't loud, it's composed. It doesn't rush to fill silence. It doesn't nervously explain itself. It doesn't stumble into endless justification. It speaks and then waits. The moment you stop over-explaining yourself is the moment people start to wonder what you're really capable of. Machiavelli once said, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." Forget status symbols. Forget the validation you think comes from fancy cars, watches, or Instagram clout. You are the value. You are the authority. And when she feels that, really feels it, her entire strategy shifts. She doesn't test you to dominate. She tests you to feel the strength of your walls. And if you have none, she leaves. That's the paradox. She doesn't want control. She wants to feel the limits of hers. Only a man with an unshakable core can provide that. So burn this into your identity. Every time you resist the urge to prove yourself, you gain a layer of mystery. Every time you refuse to overreact, you gain psychological gravity. And every time you stop treating her like a goddess and instead measure her like a woman, you shift from prey to predator. Most men lose the second they open their mouths. They talk too fast. They talk too much. They try to sound smart. They try to sound polite. They try to sound respectful. But Machiavelli gave us the real test of intelligence.
The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. So ask yourself, what do women see around you? Do they see chaos, weak friends, boys who live for pleasure? Or do they see order, purpose, and strategy in your orbit? A confident man is not judged by his words. He's judged by what he attracts and what he refuses to tolerate. You want to be taken seriously? Stop talking so much. Speak less, observe more. Let your eyes become your weapon. Let your silence be your wall. And when you finally do speak, speak like your voice is the final word in the room. No maybe, no I think, no nervous laughter, no rising tone at the end of your sentences. Your words drop like iron on the floor. And when she laughs, you don't join her, because her amusement is not your reward. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality, Machiavelli wrote. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration. So be the exception. Don't just watch her, read her. Not for attraction, but for motive. What does her behavior reveal? What is she testing? What's hidden beneath the flirtation? What insecurity drives her actions? Confidence without insight is still weakness. The dangerous man is confident because he sees. He sees through the words, the poses, the makeup. He sees the fear behind her pride. And he doesn't expose it, he stores it. This is psychological warfare, not to harm her, but to lead her. A woman will only follow a man she cannot manipulate, and if she can predict your emotions, your routines, your triggers, she owns you.
So train this into your being. No visible emotions, no reaction to tests, no rush to prove yourself. If you want to dominate the space, let your value be clear before you even open your mouth. Hold your frame like a throne. Don't adapt to her orbit. She adapts to yours. Why? Because in your world, your attention is the prize. Not your time, not your body, not your compliments. Your attention, and it's earned, not assumed. Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. You must become both. A fox in observation, a lion in execution. Calm eyes, sharp mind, brutal decisiveness. That's the man women fear losing and obsess over taming. But he cannot be tamed because he already chose who he is long before she arrived." Here's the truth you were never taught. Women don't crave a man who worships them. They crave a man they cannot control. Machiavelli wrote, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Loyalty without strategy is slavery, and most men are loyal to the wrong things: her approval, her moods, her attention. A dangerously confident man is loyal to one thing only: his direction. So when she pulls back, he doesn't chase. When she tests, he doesn't explain. When she tries to derail his focus, he doesn't even flinch. Not because he's cruel, but because he has standards, and no one, no matter how beautiful, bends them. That's the commandment. You do not negotiate with your mission. Not for validation, not for affection, not for sex. You must become so rooted in your path that distractions begin to disgust you. Not because you hate her, but because you finally love yourself enough to protect your purpose.
Confidence is born the day you stop outsourcing your worth. Until that happens, you'll keep walking into rooms hoping someone else's eyes will confirm you matter. But from this moment forward, that ends. From now on, your confidence is forged in the fire of refusal. Refusal to be reactive, refusal to chase, refusal to explain, refusal to shrink so someone else can feel tall. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. So let them see what you design. Craft your image with precision, not to deceive, but to dominate. Your eyes say, 'I already know myself.' Your tone says, 'I don't ask for permission.' Your presence says, 'I am the decision.' Because here's the secret most men never learn. Women don't fall for your words, they fall for your direction. And a man without emotional direction is a storm waiting to drown her. But a man with precise command of himself, that's rare, that's intoxicating, that's unforgettable. So if you want dangerous confidence, stop trying to be liked, stop waiting for signs, stop performing niceness. Let her feel the friction, let her feel the difference, let her feel the space you refuse to collapse just to make her comfortable. Confidence isn't about doing more, it's about needing less. When your silence carries more weight than another man's compliments, she feels the truth. You're not available, you're not predictable, you're not even impressed. You're simply watching, measuring,
calculating. And that terrifies her, because she's used to being the one with power. Not anymore. Understand this: the man who moves slowly, speaks rarely, and never reacts, owns the room. Not through force, through gravity.
Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does eventually." Confidence isn't built in front of her. It's built when no one is watching. It's built in silence, when you finally decide you will never again be the man whose mood is controlled by her beauty, her silence, or her attention. You become dangerous the moment your emotions become private property, not leaked, not begged to be understood, not handed out like free samples. Private. When you're praised, you don't inflate. When you're mocked, you don't collapse. When you're ghosted, you don't chase. You disappear. Not with rage, but with dignity. Because the man who reacts is the man who's owned. Want her obsession? Then master absence. Absence is louder than presence in the mind of someone who thought you'd stay. But this time, you don't stay. You don't wait. You don't explain. You vanish. Quietly. And you rise violently. That's what Machiavellian power is. Not noise, not drama, but transformation that can't be undone. You were once the man who overanalyzed every text. Now you're the man who makes her question her worth with silence alone. You were once the man who nervously filled every gap. Now you're the man who can hold a gaze until she unravels. You were once the man who chased the wrong women. Now you're the man who chooses from abundance and never apologizes. Because you don't chase comfort anymore. You chase command. You don't chase attention. You command it. You don't react to rejection. You weaponize it.
Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be impetuous than cautious, because fortune is a woman, and to master her, you must conquer her by force of character." Force of character. Not money, not looks. Character. That's what she feels in her stomach when you walk into a room and look through her, not at her. When you speak, not to impress, but to decide. When you don't flinch as she pulls back. When you don't dance for her validation. When you don't ask to be chosen, because you've already chosen yourself. So what's next? You build the identity of a man who cannot be manipulated. You speak with finality. You walk with mission. You surround yourself with silence. And when people try to figure you out, they fail. Because you're no longer designed to be understood. You're designed to be remembered. That is your new standard. You will not be the man who begs to be liked. You will be the man who haunts memory. Not because of what you gave, but because of what you never needed. So if you feel something stirring inside you right now, don't mistake it for motivation. It's not motivation. It's memory. The memory of the man you were always meant to be. The one who doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, doesn't wait. You were not here to follow. You are here to become the man who cannot be forgotten. The man who cannot be predicted. The man who cannot be controlled. Prove it.